All right. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. There we go. All right. Here we are. Awesome. All set. Hey, Nicole. Thank you. Yes, I had a wonderful day. Yes, I did. Okay. So, our topic today, we're continuing our study of the book Money and the Law of Attraction by Esther and Jerry Hicks. And we are on part 4. It is called Perspectives of Health, Weight, and Mind. So, in this section, we are going to review Law of Attraction and Abraham's perspective on health, weight, and mind and how those things play together. Really, it's all about a healthy body, because when you have a healthy body, everything falls into place. Your weight falls into place. You look good, you feel energized. Everything falls into place when you have a healthy body. I don't know what I did. I was trying to adjust the amount of light. Let's see. Okay, so hopefully that will do it. If not, we shall see. Okay. So Abraham says, first, there is no subject that people think more about than their own body. And isn't that true? Hi, Margie. Hi, Ulini. Isn't that so true? People do think a lot. People spend a lot of time thinking about their body and how they look. Every morning we wake up, and what's the first thing we do? We look in the mirror, don't we? And so, oh, and so it's just natural that when you look in the mirror, you want to appreciate what you see. And the thing that we get stuck on is we don't see ourselves through our eyes. We tend to see ourselves through the eyes of someone else, other people, society, whatever society thinks. And so we have a warped image of ourselves in our heads. We don't really see who we are the way Source sees us. We don't even see ourselves the way we really are. We always see ourselves through the eyes of other people. Hi Jennifer, the standards that other people have established. All right. Second, Abraham says, since every perspective or thought that you have flows through the lens of your physical body, every thought flows through the lens of the physical body, your attitude on virtually every subject is influenced by the way you feel about your physical body. How interesting is that? So, your relationships, they show up in how your body is behaving. Your money shows up in the way your body is behaving. How you think your thoughts is showing up in the way your body is behaving and looking, right? Because science and medicine have been slow to acknowledge the connection between mind and body. Yes, slow, but there is a connection, and science recognizes the connection. That is why we have what is called the placebo effect, right? What is the placebo effect? The placebo effect is simply that you give someone something that has no medicinal value, but they get the effect or the benefit of having consumed something with medicinal value, because it is always and always and always mind over matter. So Abraham says, between thoughts and outcomes. So Abraham says science is catching up with the connection between thoughts and outcomes and between attitudes and results. Most people are reeling a plethora of contradictory guidance relative to their bodies. Contradictory guidance. Contradictory guidance. How can the same thing be good for you as well as bad? Right? So, whenever the basis of an understanding is flawed, no amount of patching it with methods, potions, or remedies can bring consistently provable results. Listen carefully. Extremely important words. I'm going to read them again. Whenever the basis of an understanding is flawed, no amount of patching it with methods, potions, or remedies can bring consistently provable results. And this is why the same medicine has cures one person doesn't have any effect on the other person. Right? This is why some strategy works for one person, has zero effect on another person. Because you cannot, it is not possible to mimic another person completely. We can try. That's why they say hang out with people who have the kind of success that you want, because when you're with them, you'll observe them, and when you observe them, you'll learn their behaviors, how they react to situations and things. And if you can learn their belief system, then you can also have the results that they have. So Abraham says, and because the alignment of energies for each individual varies because of such a variety of factors in beliefs, desires, expectations, and early and current influences, it is little wonder that remedies that work every time are non-existent. And it is no wonder that most are truly confused about their physical bodies, right? Because every body has its own set of environment that it's dealing with, and two sets of environment, the internal environment and the external environment, right? So your body is dealing with whatever external pressures are around it, but your physical body is also dealing with internal pressures, and those internal pressures are created by the thoughts that we think. When you attempt to gather and process information about what is happening with other people's bodies, instead of utilizing your own emotional guidance system to understand your current alignment or misalignment of energy, it is tantamount to using a roadmap from a different country to plan your route in your own country. That's a really funny analogy, right? It's been a while since I read this, so it's very refreshing. I love this analogy. So when somebody says, oh, let's go to that weight loss clinic, it has worked wonders for me. My friend, come with me. I'll take you with me. Well, it's not necessary that you will benefit from the same thing that someone else benefits from. Because the fact that they benefited has to do with their belief systems and what's going on inside them. Thank you, Nancy. And if you don't have the same stuff going on inside you, then your results will not be exactly the same. Your results could be better, right? Because you might have less resistance, or your results could be not as good. Either way. All right. So Abraham says that you have been given so much information that is contradictory to that which we know to be, and we are extremely happy to talk to you about you and your body relative to the greater picture. So Abraham says there's a lot of contradictory information going on out there. Thank you, Natalie. All right. So what do we mean by contradictory information? Well, some people say it's good to sit out in the sun. Other people say, no, don't sit out in the sun. You can get skin cancer. Hello. Which one? Which one? Which one is the right one? And the answer is, there is no categoric right one. That's the right answer. The answer is there's no such thing as black and white. It's all gray. And the shade of gray depends on who you are and what you need, right? Okay, so then Abraham says, I want to balance my desires and experiences. Abraham says, it is not possible to bring your physical body to a state of perfect health by only thinking about the physical aspects of your being and then offering action regarding your physical body. In other words, saying that, for example, saying that I need to lose 20 pounds, so that means I need to walk 5K every day. So what you've done is you've taken the physical aspect of your body and you've translated it into action. What's the missing link? No alignment. You have not focused on pre-paving. You have not focused on lining up the energy in order to reduce your weight by those 20 pounds. Without an understanding of the connection between the physical you and the non-physical vibrational inner you, there can be no consistent understanding or control. So the way that we can control weight loss is by combining our emotional guidance with the action that we take. Guidance, alignment first, action second. Right? Beautiful words. Once you accept the totality of your being and you make that vibrational alignment your top priority, you are well on your way to achieving and maintaining your desired physical body. Now, I want to explain something really important to you guys. Hang on. Which is, if this was the emotional scale, and up here was joy, and down here was despair, somewhere in between is worry. So Abraham says, align yourself. Let's say that you're over here, you're frustrated, not happy with the fact that you've tried everything possible and you just can't seem to shake off the weight that you are carrying around. It's just not going anywhere. Why is that? Well, because when you are low on the emotional scale, you are in a place of vibrating in a way that activates negative beliefs. So when you're low on the emotional scale, you are actually activating negative beliefs. When you go high up on the emotional scale, even though those beliefs are there, but they're not activated. So it's like saying, so I like to use this analogy for myself, it just makes so much sense, right? That our belief systems, our subconscious mind is like this music that's playing in the background over here, right? And so that music is controlling our mood. When we respond to something, we respond because of this music that's playing in the background. So if you change the music, your mood changes. You've got a whole number of tracks on your phone. These days, in the old days, we used to have multiple CD players that took multiple CDs in them. And all you had to do was move it forward. So just press the forward button and the next track starts playing. So the thing is, you activate the next track. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the wishes. Okay. There's a switch. So you click on that forward button in order to go to the next track. And when you listen to the next track, it feels different. Well, that's what it's all about. Our beliefs are like tracks that we've got stored. And those tracks are playing a music. But the switch is where we are on the emotional scale. If we don't switch these beliefs on, then even though they are here in the subconscious mind, even though I have them stored on my cell phone, I have those tracks stored on my cell phone, but I am not playing them. And if I'm not playing them, then they are not activated and they have no effect on my reality. So how do we turn the switch off? We've got this switch on, and that switch tells us it's really hard to lose weight. It's really hard to lose weight. And you know what? There's this belief that says the last 10 pounds are the hardest. Have you heard that one? The last 10 or 20 pounds, I don't know. I heard this a long time ago, that the last 10 or 20 pounds are the hardest. Well, you hear that and you pay attention to it. Now it's become of your music. It's part of your music. You've got it stored on your cell phone. But you have a choice. You can play it or you can just forward it and not play it at all. Thank you, Olivia. So, the thing is, how do we push that switch in terms of vibration and law of attraction? Abraham says alignment. You align yourself. When you align yourself, when you're up here in this top region, top 1/4 of the emotional scale, when you're at the top 1/4 of the emotional scale, you have moved forward and left those beliefs behind. So even though they are still there, we don't need to clean them up because we've turned them off. We've moved forward. We've moved to the next track. So I don't have to worry about it as long as I'm not thinking it. Soon as it comes up and I'm giving it my attention, now I'm thinking it and I'm activating it. And when I activate a negative belief, I go right down the emotional scale to that place again. Isn't that interesting? So Zara, you mean I don't have to go and look for my crazy, resistant old beliefs? No, you don't. So you mean I can have negative beliefs floating around in my subconscious mind and I can still go up the emotional scale? Yes, you can. And Zara, do you mean to tell me that if I can go up the emotional scale, I can lose weight without changing my beliefs? Yes, yes, yes. That is exactly what I am telling you. That is exactly what Abraham is telling you. I'm speaking for Abraham in more up-to-date language. That's all I'm doing. While I enjoy my favorite strawberry drink. Okay. So, so this is the important thing to understand. This is why Abraham keeps telling us, start where you are and go forward. Start where you are, right here, and go forward. There's no need to go backwards. There's no need to go looking for negative beliefs. But sometimes we don't fully understand how things work, or we have this habit. And you know, a habit is like any habit. It's an addiction. It calls you. It forces you. And it takes time to give up addictions, doesn't it? It's so much easier to give up an addiction that is outside of you. It's a substance or a thing or a television sitcom. It's so much easier because they're outside of you. But when your habit is about something that is inside of you, it is much harder to give up those habits. You really need discipline in order to do so, right? But if we just stop, so this is why. So do you now understand that if you get off the subject of weight altogether and you start appreciating strawberry drinks or birthday dinners and birthday cake and lots of friends who wish you happy birthday, then that is enough. That's all you need to think about. Think about the moon, the trees, the sun, the birds, the squirrels. That's all? That's really? Abraham? Is that all I have to do to lose weight? I have to go and play with squirrels and bunny rabbits and have fun all day and then I lose my weight, this weight that I keep carrying around? Yes, as long as you stay off the subject, the weight will go away on its own without your doing anything. So this is the power of law of attraction. This is the power of how our beliefs work, and this is the power of how our attention works. You see, I keep coming back to the same thing again and again, folks. There are only two things that we need to figure out. One is intention, which is always in the right place, and the other one is attention. Intention and attention are two different things. You can intend for good things, but your attention can be on things going wrong. So if your attention is on things going wrong, what are you going to get? You're going to get things going wrong, because that is law of attraction. So now we come to a really, really important thing, and that is comparison. See, the only thing that ever makes anyone feel dissatisfied about the way they look is comparison with other people and comparison with the standards that society has set up. So society has these standards that say, oh, you have to have this sort of figure, you have to be this tall, you have to weigh this much, and your measurements have to be so and so in order for you to be beautiful. No. Who says that? Who made that up? Who made that up? Because somebody made that up. Somebody made that up. It's just like one of those things that how people used to believe that the earth was flat, or how people used to believe that disease was a sign of being possessed by evil spirits. That's it. That's what it is. When you compare yourself with anyone, whether it is in terms of the way you look, or the physical possessions that you have, or anything, any sort of comparison always takes you down the emotional scale because it makes you feel bad, right? So even when you think that you are better than other people, oh, I am beautiful, I am the perfect height and weight and figure and complexion and everything, I am absolutely perfect. And then you look at other people and you say, ha, look at that one. Can't shine a candle to me, that one. What does that one have? Nothing. But when you do say things like that, you don't feel good, because in that moment you are separating yourself from Source. Source looks at that person and sees beauty. You look at them and you don't see it. So you see, whether you're comparing yourself and finding yourself better than the other person, or whether you're comparing yourself with another person and finding yourself less than the other person, both ways you are going down the emotional scale. The only difference is, in the one of them, you stay down longer and you beat up on yourself a lot more than in the other case. That's all. So comparison of any sort is not a healthy thing. Let's see what Abraham is saying here. We would like to assist you in understanding that there is not one state of being that is correct, that is the correct one, or even the most wanted one, for there are a great many varieties of states of physical bodies that have been intended by you as you emerged into this physical body. If it had been your intent to all be the same, more of you would be the same, but you are not. See, now isn't that interesting? We intended diversity coming into this life experience. And if we all looked exactly the same and acted exactly the same, life would not be fun, because there wouldn't be as much choice. There wouldn't be as much contrast. There wouldn't be as much to choose from, right? It would be a much smaller array or a smaller buffet. So Abraham says, we would like to encourage you, rather than looking at yourselves and acknowledging that you are lacking in this or that characteristic, as most of you do, we would like to assist you in looking towards the advantages of that which you are. In other words, as you are assessing or analyzing your physical body, spend a greater part of your time looking for the advantages that it offers, not just to you, but to the balance of all that is. That's where self-worth, self-appreciation, all of that kind of stuff comes in. I look at myself and I look at myself through the eyes of Source. I do the work. I do the emotional vibrational work so that I can look at myself through the eyes of Source. All right. Jerry says, I recall that when I used to work out on a trapeze with the circus, I was too heavy to be what they called a flyer, and I was too light to be what they called a catcher. So the trapeze wasn't my place to be comfortable unless we got a heavier catcher or a lighter flyer, so to speak. So I was still an aerialist, but I performed what was called an aerial bar act where nobody had to catch me and I didn't have to catch anyone. But I didn't see myself lacking because I didn't think that I should have been bigger or smaller. I just found something I like to do that still gave me the same general feeling of performing as an aerialist. So Abraham says in response, that is excellent. See, that's a good example of just being happy. And when you're happy, when you're satisfied with where you are, the universe will provide you opportunities that give you satisfaction. So in this little story that Jerry told us, the fact that he was happy with who he was is what brought him the opportunity to have his own act, right? So now Jerry is asking Abraham a question. We are on page 144 of the book. So couldn't we look at our weight then and our state of mental ability or talent in the same way? Could each of us see ourselves as perfect? Abraham says, we are not necessarily encouraging you to look at whatever your current state is and proclaim that it is perfect. Because if you say that it is perfect, then you're saying that you don't desire anymore, right? But you will always be striving for something that is just beyond what is. But finding aspects of your current experience that feel good when you focus upon them will cause you to align with the perspective of your inner being, who is always focused upon your well-being. We encourage you to feel for the agreement between your thoughts about your body and your inner being's thoughts about your body, rather than trying to get the conditions of your body to agree with conditions of other bodies that you see around you. Interesting, right? So what is Abraham saying in what I just read? Abraham is saying, instead of you make yourself fit into, it's that analogy that we have of fitting a square peg in a round hole, right? So if you're a square peg, wait and be okay with being a square peg, because a square hole will show up. And basically that's what Abraham is saying. It's okay to be different. You don't have to want to be like other people. It's okay to be different. Just feel for the alignment in the way your inner being looks at you, right? So Abraham says, as you're understanding that you're creating through your thoughts rather than through your action, you will accomplish many more of your desires with far less effort. And that is at the basis of everything that Abraham teaches us. We do not need to exert effort. Ease and flow is the way to go, right? So now Abraham is giving us reasons. So this is what I call the soothing process. In the 4-step process, you need to soothe yourself, and then when you soothe yourself, you start feeling better. As you feel better, so what is the 4-step process? 4-step process is step 1, here I am, I'm here. Step 2, where do I want to go? I want to go up here. Step 3 is soothing. Soothing means saying things that make us feel better. So as we soothe ourselves, we go up the emotional scale. And then when we are on our way up, we start appreciation, and then appreciation takes us further up. So when you do the 4-step process, if you do the 4-step process and really apply it, it can take you all the way from the bottom of the emotional scale to the top of the emotional scale in a very short period of time. Sort of the same process that Abraham follows for focus wheels, except that I have restructured focus wheels in a way that I find is easier to do than the way Abraham shows us to do them. So Abraham says, you were born into a society. So this is step 3 of the 4-step process, soothing. Soothing when we find reasons to give our mind so that our mind can give up the negative beliefs that it has stored inside it. That's what the soothing process does. So here Abraham is soothing us. Abraham is saying you were born into a society that began warning you against unwanted things as soon as you arrived. And over time, most of you have taken on a guarded stance. You have a war against drug and a war against AIDS and a war against cancer. Most of you really believe that the way to get what you do want is to defeat what you do not want. And so you give so much of your attention towards pushing away from you what you do not want, where if you could see the law of attraction as we see it, if you could accept yourselves as the attractors by virtue of the thought that you are holding, you would understand what a backward approach most of you are taking. So now Abraham gives us an example. As you say, I'm sick and I want not to be sick, so I'll beat this illness. I'll take this action and I'll defeat this illness. You are from your position of guardedness and defensiveness and negative emotion holding on to that illness. So have you ever heard anyone say things like this, or have you said them yourself? I'm sick and I'm going to defeat this illness. Abraham says that actually is a negative position to take. My attention to lack attracts more lack. Abraham says every subject is really 2 subjects. And we know that Abraham explains that the having of something and the absence of something, those are the 2 subjects. On the same topic, the topic being money, money is 2 subjects. Topic is money, but money is 2 subjects, the having of money and the absence of money. Those are the 2 subjects with respect to abundance. So Abraham says that everything is 2 subjects, and which end of that stick you give your attention to is going to determine what results you get. Understanding these things is a part of the soothing process, that when you start feeling better about how your mind responds to things, you're able to shed your negative beliefs. And when you shed your negative beliefs, you automatically go up the emotional scale, which is where you are able to get the weight loss and the body image that you're looking for. Okay, so now Abraham is saying, from a place of lack, people say things like, I can't bear this negative place anymore. I'm going to go on a diet. And I'm going to get rid of all of this stuff that I do not want. And yet, your attention is given to the stuff that you do not want, and so you hold on to it. Isn't that interesting? The way to get to where you want to be is to give your full attention to what you do want, not to give your attention to what you do not want. All right. So if we want to shed weight, how should we say it? What are the words to say? Well, we have a couple of choices. The first choice is we can get completely off the subject, and if we did that, then we would automatically go up the emotional scale, and we would manifest the weight loss that we want to manifest. But the other way of doing it is to start saying it differently. Wouldn't it be nice if I could go from a size, 8 to a size 6? Wouldn't it be nice if I could go from a size 8 to a size 6, or whatever size, but just one notch down, right? Because there you're not fighting anything. So try it that way. Now the next subject is planting fear seeds does grow more fear. So Abraham says, Jerry says, a dear friend of mine, a mentor in business, volunteered to be part of a medical study. He said that even though he was in brilliant health, he was willing to participate if it could be of value to others, because so many men his age in that area were dying from a certain disease, prostate cancer. Well, it seemed like only a matter of weeks before we received a message from him that he had been diagnosed with the same illness. And now he's no longer in physical form, but he didn't seem to have a fear of the disease. Did he create it in his body by merely focusing on it? Wow, that's an important question. Abraham says it was his attention to it. In other words, it was his intent to be of value for others, and so he allowed them to probe and poke and look. And in that probing and poking and looking, he received enough stimulation of thought from the others to make him aware of the possibility, not only the possibility, but the probability. They planted within him the seed of probability, and then, with the probing and the poking and the looking, his body responded to what then became the balance of his thought. So, see, when you give attention to something, then it brings you that thing upon which your attention is. So, if your attention is on the absence of health, then you're attracting the absence of health. If your attention is on the fact that you are overweight, then you are going to keep that weight on because your attention is on the side of things that you don't want. It's attention that creates the manifestation. Hi, Marlene. Hi, Lindsay. The potential for wellness or illness is always within you. The thoughts you choose determine which you experience and to what degree you experience it. So cute. Stella is in the room with me and I think she's having a dream. So cute. Okay. Must attention to illness attract illness? Jerry says, how much can we toy with these thoughts of illness? For instance, a person can watch on television and offer to come down for a free examination of some part of his or her body. And if the person says, oh, well, I think I'll just go and do that, I feel fine, but why not since it's free? What are the chances of that leading to what you're talking about, a stimulation of thought and eventually an unwanted result? Abraham says, nearly 100%. Because of the attention to illness in your society, your diseases are running rampant. With all of your medical technology, all of the tools, and all of the discoveries, there are more people who are critically ill today than ever before. Isn't that interesting? And why is that? Well, because we hear about it, right? You go to work and a colleague says, have you heard? Have you heard? That one who works in that department just got diagnosed with this, that, and the other. And now you start thinking, oh, poor girl or poor boy, what's going to happen to them? We should bandy together to try and help. Coming from a good place, the intention is positive, but the attention is not in a positive place. So Abraham is now saying, how much can we toy with it? And we say, you are very particular about what you eat. Listen carefully. You are very particular about what you eat and what you wear and what you drive. And yet, you are not particular about what you think. We would encourage you to be particular about what you think. Keep your thoughts on the side of the subject that is in harmony with your wanting. Think about wellness, not about the lack of it. Think about being as you want to be rather than the lack of it. Your illnesses are not born and perpetuated only because of your negative attention to illness. Remember that illness stems from your feelings of vulnerability and guardedness. Train your thoughts on all subjects, not only the subject of physical health in the direction of what you desire, and through the improved emotional state that you accomplish, your physical well-being will then be assured. In short, align yourself and you will get there. It's all about alignment, alignment, alignment. Appreciation, 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 because appreciation is that thing that results in alignment. So then Jerry says, another dear friend of ours recently built a room into her house so that her mother in law, whose health had really worsened, could come to live with her. Oh, I love this story. This story I absolutely love. How bad her health was, how unhappy her mother-in-law spoke almost constantly about how bad she felt, how bad her health was, how unhappy she was with life, and about this surgery and that surgery. Then our friend's mother, who was 85 years old, came out to visit for the holidays. She had never been in a hospital in her life before, but within a week of staying in that house with this other lady who was continually speaking of illness, her own health plummeted dramatically. She was hospitalized and then placed in a nursing home. Could someone's health fail so dramatically as a result of only a few days of negative influence? And Abraham's answers to that: the potential for illness or wellness lies within all of you at all times. And whatever you give your attention to begins to foster within you the manifestation of the essence of that thought. Thought is very powerful. While it is not necessary, most people who have lived to be 85 years of age have already been receiving substantial negative influence about their physical body. So, this whole feeling, oh, I'm getting old. So there's always that thing at the back of the mind that says, oh, I'm getting old, so therefore my physical machinery is wearing out. And then you're in the presence of someone who is constantly talking about it, who is constantly talking negatively about it, and you start listening. So the one thing is, someone is talking about it, but you're like me, and you grab your earbuds and you pop them in your ears, and you don't care what they're talking about because you're in your own little world. Well, then they don't have any effect on you. But if you don't find a way to distance yourself emotionally and mentally from that other person, now you're absorbing all of that inside you. And as it accumulates inside you, it will manifest into something. When someone comes into your experience who stimulates your thought, so that your thought is predominantly upon illness rather than wellness, upon lack of well-being rather than upon well-being, where you are in a place where you are feeling vulnerable or defensive or even angry, then the cells of your body begin to respond to the balance of that thought. And yes, it is possible that in a matter of weeks or even days or even hours, this negative process could begin. Everything that you are living is a result of the thoughts that you are thinking, and there is not an exception to that. Wonderful. All right. So, others' physical evidence needn't be my experience. So Abraham says, as you see physical evidence. So if you look at yourself and you say, oh, I'm 85, and that person's 85, and they have this problem and this problem and this problem, and it's because they're old. Oh my God, that means I might end up that way too. And you've already placed attention on it by saying those words. And that is what Abraham is talking about over here. Okay. So Abraham says, whatever evidence you see around you is nothing more than the manifestational indicator of someone's thought, and therefore no reason for what others are creating with their thought to cause you to feel frightened or vulnerable. So in that example that I just gave you, where someone is 85 and they have all these health situations, doesn't mean that you will get them unless you have exactly the same belief systems as that person, unless your way of looking at things is exactly the same as that person's way of looking at things. See? That's how everyone gets a different result, because we all truly are different. Abraham says there really is no such thing as an unchangeable condition. There is not a physical situation, no matter what the state of negative degeneration, that cannot receive wellness. But it requires an understanding of the law of attraction, the guidance represented by emotion, and a willingness to deliberately focus upon things that make you feel good. See, this is the interesting thing. If I was just going to come here and tell you, give you exercises or rituals or actions to take and tell you, here you go, do this and you will drop 10 pounds in a week. Well, then I have not really laid any foundation for the vibrational, energetic change that needs to happen inside you in order to accomplish that physical change. And so you can go away, and maybe if you believe so much in the fact that I gave you something to do, that you might get some positive results from it. But for the large part, for most people, it does not work that way unless you have an understanding of how law of attraction works. You can go and do the ritual and get no result at all. You have to understand how law of attraction works so that you are more stable, so that you don't go back there. See, this is the thing that happens with a lot of people who want to lose weight. They lose weight and then it comes back, and they lose weight and then they work hard and then they're able to shake off a little bit of it, but they're not stable in that. They shake off a little bit of weight and they feel good, and then they keep doing the work without the alignment. And that's because they don't understand what the alignment is and how to do it. And that's why the weight comes right back. So the way to lose weight and keep your health and stay in a place of balance is that you've got to put in the work to understand how law of attraction works. You've got to put in the work to understand how law of attraction works, because once you have that understanding, now you have real power. And you can apply that power to all subjects of your life, because really, all subjects of our life are the same. It's just tweaking, it's fine-tuning from one subject to another subject. All right. How can I influence all towards maintaining health? So now Jerry is asking Abraham a question. So what would be the best thing we could do to either maintain or regain perfect health, or to influence others around us towards their perfect health? So if you are overweight, that is a sign that your body is not in perfect health. And that is why it is really important to understand what it means at an energetic law of attraction level, what health is, because weight loss and having a perfect body weight, and by perfect body weight, I don't mean you have to be skinny. Perfect body weight is different for every person. It is that weight, it's that body weight at which you feel energetic without feeling depleted when you put your energy into something. And that kind of body weight comes from alignment. Because if you're not aligned, you will feel depleted. Okay? So Abraham responds, actually the process for regaining health and maintaining health are one and the same. Focus upon more things that feel good. The biggest difference between regaining and maintaining is that it is easier to think good feeling thoughts when you feel good than when you feel bad. So that's interesting, right? Because for someone who already has what they think is their ideal body weight and shape, they feel good. So because they feel good and they notice that they're feeling good, they perpetuate feeling good, and that keeps their weight constant. So it takes more work for someone who is not in that place to get there first and then maintain your balance in that place. We understand that for those who are now in a place where they do not want to be, it sounds very simplistic to just find a better feeling thought. But it is our absolute promise to you that if you were to be determined to improve the way you feel by deliberately choosing thoughts that feel better, you would begin to see immediate improvement in anything that is troubling you. So it comes back around to the same thing. It's all about vibration, 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 alignment, alignment, alignment. All right. Okay. So now Abraham is talking about sleep. So Abraham says your natural state is one of absolute well-being. You do not have to fight anymore against illness. Just relax into your wellness. Put yourself in your bed tonight, and as you're going to sleep, feel the wonderful comfort of the bed beneath you. Notice how big your bed is. Notice the pillow beneath your neck. Notice the fabric upon your skin. Give your attention to things that feel good. For every moment that you can think about something that feels good, you are cutting the fuel to that illness. Isn't that lovely? Because you see, sleep is very important. Sleep is when our body regenerates, rejuvenates itself, when natural healing takes place inside our body. Sleep is that process. So if you bring yourself a little bit up on the emotional scale before you fall asleep, then in your sleep, your body can accomplish a lot of healing. In every moment that you think about something that feels good, you are stopping the illness from going forward. Isn't that wonderful? So, translate that to weight loss. As long as you keep yourself in a place of positivity, you're not gaining any more weight. That's what that means. And in every moment that you're thinking about the illness, you're adding a little more fuel to the fire, so to speak. As you are able to accomplish holding your thoughts on something that feels good for 5 seconds, just 5 seconds, and then for that 5 seconds, you will stop fueling your illness. As you accomplish it for 10 seconds, and then for 10 seconds, and then 10 more, that's how you stop fueling the illness and start fueling the well-being. How wonderful is that? Just 5 seconds at a time. Come on, folks, we can do that. Just 5 seconds at a time? Absolutely, we can all do that, right? Okay. So, now the question Jerry is asking, do negative emotions indicate unhealthy thoughts? So Abraham says, as you think thoughts of illness, the reason you feel such negative emotion about it is because that thought is so out of harmony with your greater knowing that you are not resonating with who you really are. The negative emotion that you feel in the form of concern or anger or fear about your illness is your real indicator that you have put a very strong restriction on the flow of energy between you and who you really are. So fear, it comes back down to that feeling of fear. Fear is an enemy, really. And when you see yourself through the eyes of Source, you don't feel fear anymore. Because when you see yourself through the eyes of Source, you can feel the love of Source all over you. Your wellness comes forth as you allow the full flow of non-physical energy from your inner being. And so as you think, I am well, or am becoming well, or I am whole, it is my natural state to be well, those thoughts vibrate in a place that is in harmony with that which your inner being knows to be true. Right? And so that's how you align yourself with the way your inner being is looking at you. Now, Abraham is closing this section with some really lovely words. I'm going to read these words out to you. Every thought vibrates. And so, focus upon thoughts that make you feel good, which will attract others, and others, and others, and others, and others, until Your vibrational frequency will raise to the place that your inner being can fully envelop you. And then you will be in the place of well being, and your physical apparatus will catch up very quickly. It is our absolute promise to you. You may begin to watch for dramatic physical evidence of your recovery, for it is law. Awesome! Really, really good. All right, guys. So here I am, and I still have a few minutes. So if you have any questions on the subject of health or weight loss, bring them on, and I'll be happy to help you along. It'll help all of us along, in fact. So let me know if you have any questions, drop them in the chat, and I will try and do my best to look after them. All right, let's see. Let's see. Takes a minute for questions to show up at my end. Usually there's a little bit of a delay in the way they show up. All right. I am not seeing any questions show up on YouTube just now. Let's take a look at Facebook. And I don't see any questions on Facebook either. No questions for me today? Oh my goodness, you guys are a really quiet group. Come on. No one has a question? All right then. Time to call it a night. Love you all lots. Have a super fantastic evening, and I'll see you with another live on next Wednesday. Bye for now.